Imagine this. You're alone, exhausted, and finally heading home after a silent night shift. For the first few nights, I honestly thought I was losing my mind. I rented a small unit in a complex called Lakeview Terrace Apartments. The kind of place night shift workers end up living in, cheap, old, and conveniently located near freight.
The first incident I couldn't rationalize happened on the 4th day after moving in. I got home around 7:10 in the morning, exhausted beyond words, ready to collapse into bed from whatever sleep I could salvage. The moment I stepped inside, I noticed my standing fan in the bedroom was already running on low speed. That part was normal. The direction wasn't. It wasn't facing my bed like I always left it. It had turned completely, slowly pointing toward the darkest corner of the room. Elias Alam if something there needed cooling or attention. At the time, I shrugged it off. Maybe I bumped it before leaving. Maybe the freight trains outside vibrated it out of place. I turned it off and dropped onto the mattress without another thought. I slept like a corpse. But when I woke up, something was different. The feeling hit immediately. Not fear, not panic, awareness. A very clear sensation that I was being watched. Not the paranoid kind you get after long night shifts. This felt focused, intentional, like invisible eyes were studying me. I forced my eyes open wider, and that's when I saw it. In the corner near my closet, the same corner the fan had been facing, something was standing there. I froze. It wasn't just darkness. It was darker than the darkness around it, even though daylight leaked through the tightly shut curtains. It had no face, no clothes, no details. Just a human-shaped void, like a hole cut out of reality itself, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. My heart slammed against my ribs. I sat upright, and the moment I truly focused on it, it vanished, pulled back into shadow like it had never been there. I convinced myself it was sleep paralysis residue, or my brain misfiring after waking too fast. But it happened again, and again, the same time, the same corner, the same silent observation. The next day, I decided not to panic. I decided to test it. If it was a hallucination, it would break under scrutiny. I slowly stepped toward the corner, careful and deliberate, watching how close I could get before it disappeared. At about 2 meters away, the temperature dropped instantly. Not gradual, instant, like someone opened a freezer door directly in front of me. Cold air pressed against my skin, sharp and unnatural. My breath got, my teeth started to chatter. This wasn't psychological. The room itself was reacting. I immediately switched on the light.
The figure vanished. The warmth returned, and I was left standing there, completely confused. For the next 9 days, I began documenting everything, almost like I was running a scientific study on something that shouldn't exist. The pattern was disturbingly consistent. It only appeared right after I woke up. It was always already there, waiting. Elias if it arrived the moment my consciousness returned. But the strangest part, not once, not a single time, did it ever appear while I was falling asleep. Never while I turned off the lights, never while my eyes closed. It only existed in the moment between sleep and awareness. The pattern suggested something disturbing. Its presence was tied to my level of awareness, almost like it could only exist when I hovered on the edge of consciousness. Or maybe it was only interested in that moment of transition. It felt like it was waiting for me to activate it, waiting for me to become fully aware so I could see it. And for a while, that explanation comforted me. Maybe it really was just my brain trying to process extreme fatigue. So I started searching for medical explanations, psychological ones, anything scientific. Sleep deprivation hallucinations, hypnopompic imagery, circadian rhythm disorder. I tried to convince myself my upside-down life was breaking my perception of reality. On the 13th day, I made a mistake, a stupid decision driven by frustration and my desperate need to go back to being a calm skeptic. I stood in the middle of my room, staring directly at the dark corner, and whispered, "If you are just my brain, you can't do anything. You're just a shadow created by exhaustion and insanity." I believed that if it truly was an illusion, confronting it would end the cycle. Instead, the response came from the last place I expected, my workplace. That night at 2:17 a.m., while sitting at the monitoring desk, one of the CCTV feeds, the camera connected to my apartment hallway, showed something that made my blood turn cold. Someone was standing directly in front of my door, facing it, not moving, not knocking, just standing there. I zoomed in, expecting a confused neighbor or a lost delivery driver, but the image was heavily distorted with digital noise. Still, the shape was unmistakable. Too tall, too thin. The exact same silhouette I had seen in my bedroom corner. I immediately called local security and asked them to check my unit as fast as possible. Several minutes passed that felt like hours.
Finally, the guard called back, sounding confused. "There's no one here, Mr. Mercer. The hallway's completely empty, and your door is locked. Is there a problem?" I forced myself to say I must have misinterpreted the footage. But I knew what I saw, and the fact that it appeared on camera, even when I wasn't there, or had finally decided the invisible boundary no longer mattered. At this point, I was terrified, but a strange curiosity mixed with desperation kept me watching. And that's when I noticed something undeniable. It had physical presence. The dim daylight leaking through the curtains behind it wasn't passing through like a shadow. It was being blocked completely, like a solid hole in space. Not darkness on a surface, but absence itself. I forced myself to step forward again, closer than I ever had before, about 1 meter away, and that's when I saw the worst detail yet. The head didn't have a shape. It wasn't blurred or hidden. It was hollow, a void swallowing all light, a perfect emptiness where a face should exist.
Standing in front of it, my ears suddenly rang, violently loud. Not a sound from outside. Inside my skull, a deafening pressure. And within that noise, I heard something. Not a whisper, not a voice produced by sound. A thought placed directly into my mind. Only 3 words. "You're awake." The instant I fully processed it, I slammed the light switch on with shaking hands. Like always, it vanished. But this time, the aftermath was worse. I ran to the bathroom and vomited uncontrollably from shock and fear.
It was sitting on the edge of my bed, less than a foot from my face. I could make out details now, clearer than ever before. Its arms were too long, the fingers thin and extended past its knees. It sat there, silently observing me. I tried to move, to scream, even to blink. I couldn't. This wasn't sleep paralysis. It felt like permission had been taken away from my body. Then the thought entered my mind again. Stronger, colder, absolute. "Now you see." Its arms slowly lifted, and its hand touched my chest, directly over my ribs, where the bruises always appeared. The cold wasn't skin. It went through me, into the bone, like ice melting inside my lungs. For several endless seconds, I couldn't breathe at all. Then, at the peak of terror, the electricity came back. Light flooded the room, and it was gone. I collapsed off the bed onto the floor, coughing violently, trying to drag air back into my lungs.
I left that day, immediately. I didn't pack properly, didn't even take everything. All that mattered was getting out and hoping it was tied to that apartment, to that building, to that place. I was wrong. Weeks later, in a brighter and newer apartment, I tried to rebuild a normal routine. I slept with a dim nightlight. I convinced myself it was over. But sometimes, when I woke in the middle of the night to get water, I already knew. Before my eyes even opened, I could feel the same heavy cold in the room, the same suffocating stillness. It was there. It didn't stay in the apartment. It followed me. Sometimes I'd open my eyes quickly and glimpse a darker than dark silhouette in the new corner of my room, and it would vanish the moment the light came on. But the certainty remained. I quit my night shift job. I never sleep in total darkness anymore. There is always a light on. Always. Because I finally understood the truth about these shadow figures. They don't appear because a place is haunted. They aren't attached to old carpets or empty buildings. They appear because you become aware of them, because you see them, acknowledge them, speak to them. And the moment you give them your attention, a connection forms. After you truly see them, they never leave. They just wait, patiently, for you to wake up again. So if you work night shifts, or you've ever woken up feeling watched from the corner of your room, please don't approach it, and don't speak to it. Turn on the light immediately. Look away. Because some darkness only needs a moment of recognition to become something very real. Stay safe tonight, and I'll see you in the next story.